Hi everyone, welcome again to our Q&A. We now have Vanessa that will be telling us a little bit about home designing. We're going to learn everything that she does, not only for the company, but also for her clients. Vanessa, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, tell us a little bit about how you got started and when this all happened.
Well, it's kind of different because I'm a science nerd. I went to school, my bachelor's is in science. And what really pushed me to this is trying to find a work-family balance. So I left my 9 to 5 and had my babies, and this just opened up a way for me to be with my kids. And it's something I learned to love to do. And that's how it all started.
Okay, awesome. Did you ever think you were going to work in real estate?
Yeah, I was investing in real estate, but it was very part-time. So it was just after my other job. So we already were doing some real estate, but not to the point where it was all I was doing.
Okay, so Vanessa is Alan's wife. So because Alan had all of these, jobs and he was investing and he was flipping and so forth, is that how you got started?
Exactly. So I had my 9 to 5, and when we started our family, that was the conversation. How much time did I want to put into this job, and how much time did I want to put into my family? And that's when, we sat down, we put things on paper, and I realized that I could make the same or even more by investing. And that's when I left my job and decided to go this route.
And is it more?
It is. It is. It's more. It gives me more flexibility. I get to be the mom that's there for my kids when they're sick, the mom that's there to take them to games and to do everything. So it's giving me the freedom to be what I want to be, which is, be a mom that's involved and being my own boss and feeling accomplished too as a professional. So
how long have you been doing this?
So my son is turning 14 this year. So
wow.
I guess that's
how long?
Yeah, that's my time frame. Yeah. So, well, like I said, before my son was born, we were already investing, but full-time by myself. And I say by myself because I'll explain how we work the investment part of our business. But yeah, myself doing flips on my own, 14 years. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I've personally seen some of your work, and it's amazing. Very modern. And so what are some of the things that you consider when you're remodeling? Like how do you pick the colors, and how do you pick how you're gonna decorate?
So it's transitioned, right? Because when I first started, I would say, you just go with what you think is cheaper, or you're just trying to make sure the house looks good. And I think the more you're involved in the business, the more knowledge you gain with the design and what's trending. And so I would say that I make the design according to the house, right? So I may not be a lover of too modern of a house, but if the house calls for it, I would do it. So what I do is I base it on the exterior of the house. I want to make sure the exterior and the interior match. So architecturally, that some houses have these great fine lines, or some have arches, or some. So each house will call for what you should do inside. And so that's my first thing. And when I first started, I would look it up. Okay, what are the types of construction styles? And that's how it started. Okay, this is a mid-century, or this is a farmhouse. And so I would base it on that. I would make sure I investigated what style it was and went from there, and then got ideas from that.
Okay, awesome. And so from the time that you started to now, of course, you've been doing this for 14 years, things have changed.
Yes.
Trends have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, colors have changed.
They have, yes. So when I first got started 14 years ago, it was very beige. Yeah, it started very beige.
Brown.
Oh yeah, I remember I used to use this color macadamia, which is, for me right now, is too dark. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of dark. So it was a darker, beigeier look. Then things transitioned to a more gray, kind of concrete gray, blacks, and very harshly. I call it harshly because it's very contrasting. And then now we're going back to beige, but very, very light.
A very light,
airy
neutral,
tone.
very
Yes.
neutral.
So right now I would call it more like people are trying to bring the outside in. So the wood,
that is true.
like the wood colors, like, so I don't know if you notice a lot of the flooring, you know, people are using the lighter wood. The greens are getting used, but very light, just a little splash of hint of green. Some people are even painting their walls white now, which back then it wasn't a trend, but now it is. Now I think it's about walking into your house and feeling in a Zen space. And so that's what's in at the moment.
And also open. I think back then everything was a little bit more close in. You had different rooms for everything versus now it's a little bit more open.
Yeah, so I think that went through it was a transition too as far as openness. So yeah, at first everything was very compartmentalized, and then it was too open. It got to the point where we would remove every wall and everything was just one big space. And I feel like now we're getting back to creating some separation again. Not as much as before, right? So we want to be able to still have working space between, like, you know, a living room and a dining. But now people want a private office, right? Now people want, or maybe we're using a lot of some barn doors or pocket doors to where those pocket doors could be opened up and it still looks like one big space, or you could close it back up and have some separation.
Oh, that is true.
You know, I think COVID did that. I think COVID started
a different trend.
Yeah, a different trend where people needed some separation in living spaces. So I try to think of that now. How can I make it open and yet provide some privacy if they want it?
So let me ask you something. When you come into a home and you're fixing to remodel it, it's going to be a flip. Do you consider in changing doors and changing windows, especially if it's an older home?
It all depends on my budget. But windows are important. I would say just even for resale purposes, maybe the doors, you won't get as much a return for your money. Because even if they're flat doors, if you paint them, you know, if you get a nice color scheme going, you may be able to just have it blend in with everything. The windows, it would be higher up on the list. Yeah, just for, you know, energy consumption. So the house is more energy efficient. And people, I don't think, realize that windows are much more affordable than what they think too. Because they'll go to the big names, right? So it's a good place to invest some money and get it back. Yeah.
Okay. What else is important, or what else is the most important in a home? Like, what are the main things? Because I know cosmetic is important, but
I would say the kitchens. People love nice kitchens. A place where they could spend time with their families, and always the master bedroom. Like I have this mentality where I walk into a house and I say, you know what? Whoever stays in this bedroom is gonna buy the house, right? Whoever uses this bathroom is the decision maker. So I need to provide that person with something they'll love. So for me, kitchen and the master bedroom, bathroom for sure. You know, the other bathrooms are important too, but number one is that one because they got the money. They're paying.
The other one is for the kids and the visitors.
And don't get me wrong, people value their guest bathroom too, right? Because that's when their guests come in and they want to show off what their house looks like. But that one's important too, but for sure. So kitchen, bathrooms, let me give something nice to the buyer and then I'll tackle the guest bathroom. Yeah.
Okay. What about flooring? How do you decide what kind of flooring goes into a home?
So with flooring, it's, you know, for me, it's what the budget allows. Because you would be surprised how many people are okay with vinyl flooring. So the vinyl planks, I would say maybe 10 years ago, it was considered cheap and not as wanted. And now people are more open to it because it's less work to maintain it and it's easy to replace. So
it's also not as cold as
tile. So you would think, so with the flooring, it all depends what my budget looks like. I mean, even in the bathrooms, definitely tile is better for sure because of water penetration, even though some vinyls will do that too. But I try to stick in the higher end flips, make sure, the tile in the bathrooms is nice. In the lower ends, I would even put vinyl in the bathroom floors. I mean, not inside the showers, but right. The flooring, that's the last thing on the list usually. So unfortunately, that's what gets cut out, like the quality of it when I'm flipping a house.
What about crown molding and, you know, those baseboards, those thick, big baseboards?
So those depend on the style. right? Because usually the modern houses, you don't put a lot of moldings in there. And it's usually very simple moldings, squared. That's it. And even in a transitional house, I will also do those squared moldings. I would say as long as you have the baseboards, which are a must. And then the bottom piece of the windows. It does look nice when you frame out your whole window with wood, but that does get expensive because wood is getting very expensive. So that's more of a want than a need. Okay. So if it's not something I have to provide, then I won't do it.
What about cabinets? Is that important to have new cabinets? I mean, there's some that could probably be refurnished, but what do you think?
So with cabinets, if the kitchen makes sense, I will just replace the doors. And I've done that a lot, and it makes the kitchen look brand new. So if your kitchen already makes sense and you're trying to save money, just replace the doors. The shakers are always a good option. Very modern houses sometimes will use flat doors completely. And yeah, it's a good option for someone that doesn't, and you don't have to undo everything if it makes sense. And if the construction of it is solid, just new doors. New doors, and even your drawers, you could change the fronts of them. So
okay. So I've always been curious for a home that you're flipping or for a home that you're even leasing, would you consider gas stove?
Yes, I do actually. Yes. Because I'm always thinking about when the Houston hurricanes, right? I guess I live in a house that was flooded by Harvey. So for me, when it rains, I want to be prepared, right? So maybe it's because I live, in the Maryland area and we have that, like, let's get ready for the storm mentality. So yes, if I can, I will put a gas connection in the stove. And I feel like buyers do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Or even given them an option. So if I buy a house that had a 220 for a stove, for an electric one, I'll add the gas and then I'll let them choose. Yeah, I'll put one because you have to provide the house with a stove. I'll provide with one, but now they have an option of switching it if they prefer.
Okay, awesome. I do know a lot more investors like to do the electrical because of accidents or whatever the case may be.
That is true. Yeah. I guess my mommy brain, it's like, no, give them a way to cook their food but you're right. I mean, I could see how it could be more practical to just have the electric.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm curious, and I know this is probably going to depend in the area, but at what point do you think that brick needs to be painted?
The brick, if it's too cracked, because a buyer will freak out if they see cracked brick. The reality is people are very scared of foundation problems. And that's just Houston. Houston moves. I mean, our soil is moving all the time. Or if it's too hot or too cold or too wet, right? So, but if the cracks are major, I will paint it. I do have a great brick guy though. So like if it's worth, like if the house gives me the budget to do it, then I will have the brick fixed. And if I can match the brick and the mortar and all of that, if it's
you mean replacing it?
I've had a guy like replace the bricks and fix the space.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but if that's just way over my budget, then I'll just paint it. Oh, and whitewashing. People think white painting is the same as whitewashing, and it's not. I just whitewashed the house, and it looks totally different and great actually, because it gives it kind of a vintage look, but you can still see the brick.
Rusty.
Yeah, and you can still see the old brick behind it. It covers a lot of imperfections, and it lets the brick breathe.
Oh.
Yeah, because what some people don't realize is that when you paint your brick, you don't allow your brick to breathe as well anymore because you're putting, a layer of latex on it. So, but with the whitewashing, you're still allowing your brick to do what it needs to do for your house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I just learned that. So I'm always learning.
Yeah. How is that done?
The whitewashing, so it's lime wash. So it comes in these buckets, kind of like paint, but it's super thick. So the painter will, he'll mix it with one of his big mixer things, like the ones they mix the sheetrock compound with. And then there's these special brushes. They're super thick, and they have to actually do it with a brush. So it does take a long time, so it's more expensive to do. And then after they put this lime wash on the brick, then they have to rinse it off with water. And then you determine how white you want the house, the brick. So you could wash more of the lime wash off or less of it off. And then it's a very custom look. So it does get expensive, but it does look really cool.
Yeah. Does it stay? Is it long lasting?
So it's supposed to be long lasting. Yeah, because I think the brick, what it does with the lime wash, it absorbs it and it alters the coloring of it. But I guess we will see.
What about your roofing? Is that something major that you normally do on all of your homes?
So I call certain items negotiation items, and the roof is one of them. If it's in somewhat of a good condition, right? I mean, if it's leaking, then definitely not, right? If I have a leak or something like that, then I'll address it right away. If it's a roof that is still in good condition, I will allow it to stay that way until the buyer says something. Okay. So that's one. Because, when you walk into a house, you're not like, oh, that's a great roof, I'm going to get that house. No, I mean, people don't even think about that. Yeah. So my idea is let's capture them with the things that matter, kitchen, bathrooms, and the feel of the house. And then when the inspections come, then you can, tackle those other things.
Negotiate if there's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever power wash them? Like, how sometimes they say, well, if you power wash it, it'll look like brand new.
Yeah. So it's not power wash. There's another method that I've heard of, because I've heard that if you power wash them, you could actually damage it. You could get the little sandiness of the roof. You could damage it. So that one is, I have not done it because of that. So, or unless it's a professional that could do it. Yeah, I wouldn't have just any general contractor do it. It would have to be like a company that just does that.
Okay, good. Is there any other negotiation parts of the property that you would?
Yeah, so like the AC. I mean, some people say, well, if it's more than 10 years old or 15, then it's old. But if it works, right? So usually with the AC, if it's working fine, I won't replace it unless they ask me for one. And if it's not working, obviously I'll replace it. But that I usually leave to the end. Also, like the water heater, if it's in good condition, I will leave it and wait for them to negotiate. Unless it's super rusty, then I won't leave a water heater that's super rusty. What other items could be done for negotiation? I would say those, yeah. The ones that are important, but people don't fall in love with at the beginning. So I want the offer first, right? Give me the offer. Now tell me what you want, and then I'll tell you what
I'm willing to do.
Yeah, what I'm willing to do for you. Yeah. Okay. According to how much you're offering me, right?
Awesome. So washer and a dryer, it's a big deal for them to usually be inside. Yeah. And I know the older homes usually have it in the garage and or outside, right? Yeah. So do you try to bring that inside?
Yes. I do. Yes. Yeah. So even if it's a closet, even if it's a washer and dryer closet, I know people love big laundries, but if I don't have the space to make a big laundry room, at least a closet in the hallway. And not just, a closet where they could fit washer and dryer, maybe a cabinet where they could store something, or at least a little space where they could put their baskets. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important.
It is, yeah. And there it goes again, my mommy hat, right? Like, do I want to go to my garage and be washing my clothes there? So
yes. How do you determine which walls are going to come down? Do you actually look at to see if there's any beams that can hold?
Yeah. So if I know I'm going to make big changes, I call an engineer. So because I may know how to make a house look pretty, but I'm not an engineer, right? And so I make sure that what I'm not sure about, I call somebody that does know. I have a great contact with an engineer, and I pay him to walk the house with me. He'll create plans of the house before, like as is, and then I'll tell him what I want to do, and then I create drawings of what I want to do with that house. And then he'll give me the options. Okay, then you may have to do this and that. And then that's when I start getting bids and see what I want to do with it. But that's that's major project.
Okay.
Most houses that I flip though, I try to stick to the floor plan as much as possible. I mean, if I want to open a little wall here and there, then I don't call the engineer, right? Then my framer would know. And then that's how I try to tackle those.
Okay. What about permits?
Oh yeah, so I will not move structure without permits.
Okay.
It protects you as the investor. It just makes sense because what's happening here, you pay the city and they take a long time, especially now. But it's just another pair of eyes. And with most of the contractors, you don't pay them the final until they pass the final. So that's another trick up your sleeve, right? Like, hey, you know
Do a
what?
good
It's
job,
your,
and then you get
do a
paid.
good job, pass the inspection, and then you get your last check. So, because again, I'm not a master electrician, I'm not a master plumber or an engineer. So, I consider the city inspectors to actually be a great asset to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
And so in a home, what's more important, an extra bedroom or an extra bathroom?
Ooh, that's hard. So I think that's where looking at what your competition is comes into play. So it depends, right?
The area?
What's your
Oh.
competition? So am I going to be the only 4-bedroom house in this that's going to be active now? Then that may give me the edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it all depends. It all depends what the competition is, and also maybe how big your original master is. Because if it's too small, then I will take up another bedroom to make the master bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Yeah, like some masters are just like, it'll be a 4-bedroom house, but the master will be, I don't know, like a 10 by 11. And I don't know if I want to sell a master with a 10 by 11.
Okay.
So, yeah, like a 13. I mean, that's big, right? But I will try to see what my competition is and determine it based on that. So having a good realtor. Yeah, it's important. Yes.
Tell me, let's go outside and look at the outside of a house. Driveway. I mean, I usually think it attracts me when I see a new driveway. I keep hitting it. I'm sorry. Okay, back to the driveway. New driveways attract me.
Yes.
But are they necessary?
Oh, so it depends how damaged they are. So if it's a couple cracks, again, I will do that as negotiation at the end. If it's like something that's like somebody could trip over and it's pretty bad, then yes, I will replace it. Yeah. And those are expensive, so it's you have to consider like how off is it and is it worth it?
Oh, I had an appraiser one day that didn't appraise the property until the sidewalk was fixed because it was I know the sidewalk. I'm thinking, isn't that something that the city's supposed to fix? And he said no. We called the city, and nope, it was the seller's responsibility to fix it before we could move forward. So, but it was definitely a big the
HOAs will get you on that too. Because I have a house in Katy, and they sure sent me the letter. They're like, and
you need to fix it.
Yeah, but we ended up leveling the sidewalk. So that's one way of saving some money. There you go. Yeah. Instead of replacing the whole thing, you could just level it.
I saw a video where they put some air, like a pump, on the bottom, and then they pump it, and it levels up, right?
Yeah. They'll add like a foam under it. Yeah. Or, I mean, there's people that are not as high tech as that. They'll put in more soil under it, or even concrete. So they'll lift it and then fill in the voids with soil or even sand sometimes, and then that's how they level it out. Okay. So and then the fancier companies will use the foam and all of that stuff. Yeah. But sometimes it is cheaper because if it's sometimes you have to pull permits to replace certain parts. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Patios. I know after COVID, everybody and their mother wants to have a nice outside patio, somewhere to relax, somewhere to stay in case it happens again. I don't know. Are we getting ready for that?
I hope not.
It feels like we're getting ready just in case it happens again. We now have a nice patio and a pool, and whereas before that wasn't a priority. I know back in the day, that wasn't a priority. No one was looking to pay for nice patios or a pool. But it is now.
Oh yeah, I do see it. So yes, even in the flips, the higher end ones, I try to provide something cool in the backyard, whether it is like a fire pit or the last time I did a garden, like a vegetable garden. So that was nice. It was more work, and the only reason I did that was because the flip was like a couple streets from my house, so it allowed me to go and check on it. I wouldn't do it in a flip that was not nearby. No, but I created like a trellis with a nice long wooden planterns, and I added some tomatoes and and people loved it. So it kind of kick-started their their gardening, I guess.
Their hobby,
and they enjoy that. So fire pits, they're not expensive to build, so fire pits cheap. And maybe you're right, like even that, you don't even have to build a whole patio that's covered, because I know those get expensive when you have to have roofing and all of that. Sometimes just creating one with lattice or even with just little slats of wood just to create some type of shade in your backyard. You don't have to even, well, maybe some HOAs will require approval, but those are not structurally like connected to your house. So it's something easy to do.
Okay. Okay. What about a pool?
For a flip,
pool?
never.
No?
No,
Okay.
I would never add a pool for a flip. And actually, the the flips I've had with pools have always been costly.
Oh.
Yeah, so pools are so expensive. I mean, just to replaster a pool is, I think the least I've spent on fixing a pool has probably been like $10,000 between the plaster and maybe, oh, this broke or this pipe here or even like the timer. So, I mean, unless you have a good spread in that project, then yes, because you'll probably sell it faster. Yeah. Yeah, because the houses I've had with pools have sold faster, but in consideration that I've spent more, way more than I expected in the beginning.
Would you recommend a spa or like a jacuzzi versus a pool?
You know, I wouldn't create one. No, if it's there, I'll take it if the numbers make sense. And like I was saying, if I know I have enough cushion, I have enough cushion. If if something's broken, then okay, whatever. I have enough cushion on there. But will I create a new one? No. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe not say no. You never know. Maybe I'll become a pool master. I don't know.
Wow, I've learned so much from you. Good. How do we get a hold? Well, first of all, how do you work? Who pays you?
Okay, so most of the time I just work for myself. I find deals through other realtors. Actually, we did a house. You sold us a house. Yeah, not too long ago. So yeah, we buy properties from other agents here. And then sometimes I do work with clients when we have listings and the client needs a second opinion on what to do with their house or how to better get it ready for the market. I will go walk it and give them some ideas on it. I try to stick with properties that only need touch-ups here and there. I'm not into doing big remodels for clients. Yeah, it's just like, let me help you make sense of this space. Maybe let's move this furniture. Let's paint this wall this color. But full rehabs, not there yet. It's hard to deal with homeowners. I think they get emotionally too attached to their space. We'll help though get a house ready for the market with little items.
So you do consultations?
Yeah, we do that with, I know Alan has a lot of clients that have listings and I will walk it with them.
And I think you've done it for some agents as well. Some agents here at White Picket or anywhere?
No, just here. Yeah, just
a lot of work, too much work.
Yeah, it's just I try to focus on just helping the agents and just moving along my properties too.
And teaching us. She helps us in teaching us and making us aware of what's going out because a lot of us do not do flips just yet. So hopefully one day we will and we'll have Vanessa to consult. Yeah, thank you, Vanessa. I know we can find you here at the office. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. I'm not going to tell you which days, but I come and go. Yeah, but I mean, I'm at most White Picket events. And yeah, I'm available for any questions. I also manage our rentals and I do some Airbnbs. And so I kind of tap into a lot of things.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Vanessa. How do we reach you?
Okay, you guys can call me at the office at 832-532-9229. Or you can email me at vanessa@whitepicketrealty.com.
Thank you for teaching us all these ways. And of course, we can reach out to her if we have any questions. See you next Thursday with our next Q&A. Thank you.
Bye-bye.